Welcome to the instruction video for Module 2. For Module 2, we will be reading chapters 3 and 4 of your Multicultural Psychology textbook. As usual, you will be completing your video response 3 and video response 4. You'll also be completing your chapter 3 and chapter 4 discussion posts and peer responses. You will be completing chapter 3 and 4 quiz, and we will finish up module 2 with your unit 2 exam. So let's take a moment to talk a little bit about what we're going to be focusing on for chapter 3 and chapter 4. So chapter 3 is going to be introducing some important constructs that you may not have seen before, including worldview. Sometimes people take this word worldview and think it means the view of the world. So that is incorrect. Worldview are the psychological experiences that you have because you belong to a specific group. So we can think about having the worldview of a student. And when we look at the broad and narrow definitions of culture, we can say being a student means that you belong to the culture of students. And this means that you are going to engage in specific behaviors, use specific language, and have specific interactions and emotions with other people based on the idea that you hold the worldview of a student. And you may hold multiple worldviews. As a matter of fact, some of your worldviews may conflict with other worldviews that you have. Oftentimes when people have a few worldviews, and those worldviews are those that are held by the dominant culture, and they all coincide with similar value systems, they have a hard time understanding how another person could hold worldviews that actually have opposing values, beliefs, and emotions. So let's take the example of somebody who holds the worldview of being a Latino. Maybe that worldview is influenced by spiritual or religious beliefs that come off of Catholicism. Here now we're looking at two worldviews, right? Being a Latino, being a Catholic. Now let's add on a third worldview, like belonging to the LGBTQIA community. So oftentimes people think they have to leave a worldview, meaning being Catholic, because they belong to the LGBTQIA community. Well, the reality is that people can hold multiple worldviews, and they can adjust, and they can incorporate opposing views and beliefs and still belong to and adhere to multiple worldviews. So that's really important. Also in Chapter 4, we'll be looking at communication. It's really interesting research that comes out in terms of understanding how communication, both in terms of verbal communication and nonverbal communication, is influenced by the specific groups that you belong to. So let's take a quick look at video response 3. And video response 3 is going to focus on understanding different types of societal worldviews. And in particular, we're looking at the comparison between collectivistic cultures and individualistic cultures. Now, again, we can look at the psychological experience of somebody who belongs to a collectivistic culture, but at the same time has to engage with people who belong to individualistic cultures. Oftentimes, this is the experience we have as students of color when we enter higher education, meaning we come with a communal background where we like to take care of each other because that's what collectivistic cultures do with members of the group. But then we enter higher education, which is very individualistic and focuses really on achievements by the individual. Okay, so then another important idea that comes up in Module 4 is your video for response, which looks at the benefits of bilingualism. So for a very long time, we have been under the impression that monolingualism in the United States is important. Well, the rest of the world doesn't see it that way, meaning the rest of the world understands that navigating multiple linguistic systems is important, and the research in psychology has shown this for decades. So we find that children who are bilingual have more cognitive flexibility as children in terms of their cognitive abilities, not just with language, but with spatial skills. We also find that adults are less likely to suffer from dementia in older age if they speak more than one language. Okay, so you'll be, of course, completing your discussion posts and responding to your peers. And if you have any questions or concerns, remember, just reach out to me via email. Otherwise, I will see you not only in the discussion boards, but in the next video for Module 3 instructions.